Happy VA Wednesday. So today we're going to be talking about VA multi-units in 2024. So have there been groundbreaking changes? No, nothing's changed, guys. It's actually the same as 2023. So if you like that video better, definitely rewatch. I know. Okay, so let's talk about VA multi-units, what I get asked the most, and what you need to know if you're thinking about pursuing one. So first of all, it's up to 4 units, even if you have 2 veterans. And this is where it gets interesting because the VA guidelines actually read where you're like, oh, if I had 2 veterans, it's 4 units per veteran. I could do, a 5 unit, 6 unit, 7 unit, 8 unit. The problem is that even though the guidelines show that, Ginnie Mae, who everybody sells VA loans to, they cap it at 4. So I have not seen anyone get over a 4 unit with VA. I've looked at broker sources, I've looked at everything I can. So definitely realize VA multi-unit, we're gonna be looking at a max of 4, regardless of how many veterans are on the loan. Now, the next thing to know that's really important is that if you're looking at a multi-unit, one of the units will have to be empty for you to take occupancy of within 60 days of closing, okay? Really important. You're gonna have to live there, okay? Now, the other thing is a lot of times people are like, this is great. I'm gonna buy a multi-unit and use the income to qualify for the mortgage. It's a little trickier than that. So if you want to use the projected rental income to qualify with, right, as income for the mortgage, you have to have at least 6 months of reserves. So what reserves are principal, interest, taxes, and insurance in the bank. So let's say the payment's $5,000 a month. You would need $30,000 after closing in an account to meet those 6 months reserves. In addition, you either need a 2-year landlord history, meaning that you've managed rental properties, or you're going to need a professional property management company. So look, if you've got money in the bank, it's definitely feasible, right? Like sometimes I'll see it where someone will get like a VA disability claim that has a lot of back pay. That can be a great time to do this. Or, you've just been stacking cash for years. Great. Definitely a way to look at this. But if you don't have that landlord history, you're going to have to get a property management company lined up. Now, when we're looking at the rental income to qualify with, we don't give you 100%. Okay, it's 75%. And if there's property management fees, we're taking that into consideration as well. So it's not, because sometimes people will be like, well, the rent's $3,000, $1,000 a unit, it's a 4 unit, so I can use $3,000 towards my income. No, it's 75% of that. The other thing that I'll hear sometimes is they'll be like, well, they're renting really cheap right now for like $500 a unit, but I'm going to increase the rents as soon as I move in. We're going to go off of the current rents, okay? So it's really important that you recognize that if you're trying to use income to qualify. And sometimes people will be with me, they'll be like, well, what can I get pre-approved for if I'm using income to qualify? And I'm like, I can give you like a baseline, but every single house you have to call me and tell me what these units are renting for because I have to recalculate it. That's the thing. I think that's one of the biggest confusions on multi-units is people are like, oh, well, I qualify for 400K or 500K. And that's not actually true unless you do not need the rental income. Okay, if you need the rental income, you need to be checking in with your lender every time you're thinking about writing on a house to make sure your debt to income is in line with that rental income. Now, if you're watching this and you're like, I'm working with a lender right now, Jen, and they said I could do a 4 unit and they didn't mention the 6 months reserves, and I know they're using rental income to qualify. Guys, you're just working with a lender that doesn't know their guidelines. It's that simple. Like I hear it every day. They said, and I'm like, cool, call me when it blows up. How did you know? It's the guideline. It's the guideline. You guys can look it up. It's the guideline. So most of the time with multi-units, I like to try to qualify without using the rental income because that's a slam dunk for you, right? You don't have to have the reserves. You don't need the property manager or property manager history. So if we can qualify based on your income, cool. get a 4-unit. You don't have those other requirements. But if I do need that income to qualify, we do need those other items. So look, overall, buying a 4-unit, 2-unit, 3-unit with VA, it's actually pretty easy. I would argue a 3 or 4-unit with VA is worlds easier than FHA. FHA, 3 to 4 units, self-sufficiency test, best of luck. VA, if you meet the requirements, either just by qualifying with your income or by having that 6 months reserves in the property manager or rental history, it's pretty darn easy. So definitely, guys, look at multi-units. I think multi-units are such a great way to get in the real estate market. I wish when I was younger, I had started off with a multi-unit. I didn't know anything about buying houses though, right? You know, so of course you start off with a single family and then you get a bigger one and then you're just, you know, you want your palace, people. So start with the multi-unit. You know, it's a great way to build your real estate portfolio. I've seen so many veterans be successful starting off with multi-units, you know, moving into single families, but it's just a great way to start building. Now, last note, and I know I'm going on a little bit long, there's certain states where a multi-unit's just not super realistic because the cost of housing is just insane. You know, it's like, if I think about a lot of places in California, a multi-unit is going to be $1 million and it's never going to cash flow. And that's something you have to be considering with all of this. Multi-units are great if they cash flow, right? Think of Kevin O'Leary from Shark Tank whispering in your ear, cash flow, right? He does that. I don't know if you watch it, I do. Anyways, but that's important. You want to make sure the property is actually going to cash flow. You don't want to end up in a situation where it's never going to pay for itself and it's a financial burden instead of a benefit. So you want to be looking at those numbers. Don't go blindly into 3-unit, 4 units, good no matter what. It's not. It has to cash flow. So look, as always, questions, comments, feel free to reach out. If you have questions about how to do this, get on the calendar. Sandy and Alyssa are happy to talk to you. We talk about the stuff all day long. We talk to underwriters. We do these loans all day long. So we are more than happy to help you guys hit your goals of getting home, whether it's a multi-unit or a single family. Thanks for watching.